Part 2 is almost upon us, but what will it be bringing? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Special Fighter Z crossover campaign on both Global and JP Dokkan, and trying to figure out when this campaign is coming to a close and Part 2 is going to begin, and what we might be able to expect for this Part 2 on both Global and JP Dokkan. So let's go ahead, let's hop into the in-game news here and take a look. We can see here that this year's crossover campaign is ending on the 13th. This lines up with the end of the Dragonstone sales on the 11th and the Elder Kai banner leaving on the 13th. This is Hawaii Standard Time, by the way, so more like the 14th for most of you guys. This is pretty consistent with all indicators that show that something new is coming at the end of that period. The same thing on JP, right? JST on the 14th, 359 will be seeing the ending of this campaign, and this lines up with the Elder Kai banner as well, 1659 on the 14th. So pretty obvious that something is going to happen now. The big thing people are assuming is that it's going to be a double rates banner. After all, if we look at last year's campaign on both Global and JP, we can see that the double rates banner, is it part 2? Yes. The double rates banner on Global began around that time, on the 12th. Right, so we're around the right time frame. For JP, the LR5 guys dropped around the 12th to the 14th. So yeah, we're in the right time frame for the start of the double rates banner. Now that doesn't mean that this might perfectly line up, but it's a pretty good indicator, right? Most people are assuming that this could be a shared double rates banner, like the year we had Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. It would make sense. After all, we shared the first part of the campaign together, Android 21. But I don't think that that's what's going to happen, and here's why, right? We notice this. The name of this campaign is Special Crossover Campaign. What we are missing on both Global and JP Dokkan is the Winter Festival, right? Last year's Frosty Dokkan Winter Festival on JP, right, the Dokkan Winter Dokkan campaign. Like, they always theme these celebrations around winter, around Christmas. Yet this one is themed around Special Crossover. So I do think this Android 21 thing is completely its own thing, separate outside of what we would normally see. And what I think is going to happen is after this campaign ends, we're going to move right into the Christmas campaign, right? So whatever this year's Christmas campaign ends up being called is going to begin on the 14th. That will be essentially our part 2. It won't be called a part 2, I don't think, specifically because of the ending time, right? This has the date ending on the 13th, but if we look here, the other campaigns that had a quote-unquote part 2, the main campaign still ran until the end of the month. So whatever this is coming is a brand new campaign all to itself, which means it's going to give them a little leeway with what they intend to do. So I do think whatever comes, it will be a double rates banner. This is the time frame for the double rates banner just about every year. However, I think JP may be getting a brand new LR entirely. Could be crossover related, could not be, right? It might be something else all to itself. Last year they got Yamcha into LR5 guys, so I mean, they might not even be related at all. Global, however, I think due to the fact that, you know, we've got a lot of catching up to do, and the entrance of Android 21 into the timeline kind of exacerbates that catch up just a little bit more than it needed to. So adding another Carnival LR into the mix when we don't even yet have the return of Kai Goku and Kid Gohan, that complicates things for global. Instead, what I think is a likely scenario for global is we will enter this Frosty Dokkan campaign, or whatever they decide to call it this year, and it will begin with the Rising Dragon Carnival. So for this year, it'll be the Omega Shenron. I do believe Omega will be next for global, because otherwise there's no slot to put him in if there isn't, right? February could be a possibility, but if we are advancing a sync towards JP Dokkan, I don't know. It's this is basically the only place to put him if we're planning that sync sometime within the next year. So Omega is likely next. So the winter campaign, my belief is that he will kick it off because it will then still remain in theme with the big draw of the winter campaign, which will be this banner down here, right? Right here. Here it is. So last year was the Starry Winter Night Dokkan Festival campaign. This is the campaign that returns the Tanabata LR as well as the Anniversary LR. So for this year, that'll be the Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Goku and the 8-year LRs. This banner should have released already on Global, right? Last year's banner dropped on the 5th. However, this banner has yet to drop. So that kind of makes things a little odd, and I think this crossover campaign is the reason why that happened. So what I think is going to happen, we'll both get a drop of the Carnival LR double rates at the same time, right? Global gets Omega, JP will get something else, and then to keep in the theme, we'll drop this banner on the 25th. Dropping it on the 25th matches up with, or could be the 24th, like Christmas Eve time, basically, right? Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. This lines up with the Tech Gogeta drop from the year prior to Vegeta and Trunks. So I think this is very likely the way things could go down over here on Global Dokkan in terms of what's next. It makes the most sense. It allows Global to kind of stay on track, especially with knowing that we have a New Year's campaign that is likely to be shared here in January, along with the New Year's step up. There's a lot that has to happen here on Global, and further pushing this and Omega actually just really stretches Global's chances of syncing sooner rather than later, because there's a lot that comes with Omega that Global is just straight up missing, right? We're talking ESBR stages, we're talking challenge events, right? The extra stages to the Sen Shenron event, right? The Omega Shenron stage, like there's a lot that has to come with him, and it makes sense if they if they drop these things together for whatever this year's winter campaign is, which should be starting on the 13th or 14th of this month. So in just about 5 days. So guys, that is our video. That is what I think we can expect to happen for the part 2, or whatever's next, whatever you want to call it, next on Global Dokkan. That is just my opinion. It may not be right. Hey, for all we know, we could get a shared double rates LR. You never know. But I do think this is a very likely outcome. So guys, that's our video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let me know, what do you think is likely to happen next on Global? Do you think we're getting a shared double rates LR for part 2? Or do you think I'm on the right track here with this idea? I mean, it does make sense considering what Global has to do in order to catch up, but I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.